Hey there, Megan Jansen with Employee Wellness Solutions Network. I'm so excited to continue this conversation of elevating the profile of employee and corporate wellness in our workplaces. I have the pleasure, and I'm so excited to introduce him, Dr. Greg Wells. Dr. Greg Wells, thank you so much for being on our discussion today as we continue this chat.
I'm fired up. Let's do it.
Greg, you have quite the resume. I'm going to read a few of the things that I'm so happy to have you on. You're a human physiologist. You're an associate prof of kinesiology at the University of Toronto. You're also an associate scientist of translational medicine at the Hospital for Sick Kids. You're an author, you're a speaker, you're busy, and thanks so much for taking a few minutes for me today.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm having such a good time, and one of the great benefits of doing what I'm doing right now is I get to do stuff like this. So I'm very grateful, and thanks for having me on your show.
Awesome. I want to get started in terms of this notion of employee and corporate wellness becoming more important for our workplaces these days. Employees are aging, they're sticking around longer, which means there's different health concerns, if you will, pertaining to this aging demographic. Business leaders are staying in their positions longer as well. And you mentioned in several of your Globe and Mail articles, but business leaders, and you equate them to the need to be high performance athletes. Can you give me a bit of an analogy or explain the analogy, if you will?
Sure. So the idea is that we want to try to elevate everyone's performance. And the way that I believe you need to do that is by actually getting healthier. I don't think that you can separate high performance from world-class health. If you're in world-class health, it gives you the opportunity to perform at the highest level. And if you go after performing at the highest level, the only way that you can get there is by optimizing yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, if you choose to do that. And so the model that I love to adopt when explaining that is the model of a high-performance athlete, which reflects my background as a coach and a physiologist and a scientist working with a lot of Olympic level athletes over the years. And what they do is they optimize their sleep, they optimize their exercise, they optimize their physiology, their nutrition, so that they can perform at the highest level physically. Now, those protocols that those athletes use, I believe, are exactly the same strategy, philosophy that needs to be adopted by people in the workplace. And even though athletes perform physically, business people perform mentally. And in order to do that, you can't separate mind and body. So you have to have this approach. And so it's a bit of a shift where we're beginning to help people understand across all ages, Gen Z, millennials, whatever my generation's called, I'm not sure, and the aging population that you alluded to, which I'm definitely part of that group too. So it applies to everybody, all humans, and it's just a high performance approach to life. It ultimately opens up you to being able to reach your potential.
So we talk about, how wellness in the workplace can really be dialed into behavior change. So if we can really look at the employees, provide these preventative, proactive, health promotion focused programming at the workplace, we can start to see employees start to change these behaviors, maybe learn how to sleep a little bit better, move more, think better, all these different things that you had also alluded to in your book called The Ripple Effect. Are there certain things, though, maybe a couple, that employees, just as, again, people are people, but what could people really do as, not thinking of changing their health as Mount Everest, but really some of those small things that maybe some of the employees might be able to try to start to feel a little bit better?
There's so many. The easiest one to get people started is just drink more water. Water is the foundation for human health and performance. Water is how the body creates energy. You use water to break down the foods that you eat to create energy. It gives you more blood flow, more blood, which leads to more blood flow, which leads to more oxygen and fuel to the brain and the body. It's how everything is optimized in your body is water. So it's a simple one. Keep a glass bottle on your desk. I actually don't have one on my desk at the moment. It's downstairs, but water is one. Another one is not to worry about necessarily having to hit the gym. But sprinkling physical activity throughout your day is far more effective, even 20 reps at a time. Just simply going for a very quick walk, take the stairs instead of the elevator, get off one subway stop early, go for a walk on your way home to make sure that you have a transition ritual between work and home so that when you arrive at home, you're calm. And then what if my colleague Robin Sharma says is the forced optimization strategy, which is that it really helps if you book a trainer, prepay. You could also book a massage therapist, prepay, so that you're on the hook and it's not really a decision, or if it is, it's a decision that's going to hurt you. You've already paid someone. So if you go get your massage, that's great. But if you don't go, well, you know what, they're keeping that money. So it's a little bit of a trigger, but ultimately it comes down to this. It requires a shift, and the shift it requires is we got to get out of our head.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard for me to say as a scientist because I am all in my head. Everyone knows they need to eat better. Everyone knows they need to sleep better. Everyone knows that they need to do meditation. Everyone knows that they need to exercise more. Like, we know all of this stuff, yet we don't do it. Why is that? And I believe that it's a fundamental disconnect between our emotions and our psychology. We know these things, but we're not emotionally invested in it. And a great story about this is that I was doing a session earlier this year, and I had someone come up to me after the nutrition session, and she said, I know I need to eat better. And it's like, okay, well, that's great. So you know this, that's fantastic. She's like, yes, I know. And you know what, my kids eat well. I feed my kids well. I'm going through a difficult time at home. So my mom moved into the house to see if she could help us. And she's taking care of her mom. It's great. And it's okay. So take care of your kids. Yes. Take care of your mom. Yeah. Make sure that they are eating perfectly. Absolutely. Do you love your kids? Yes. Love your mom? Absolutely. So why are you doing this for yourself? And turns out that she really had a lot of work to do on herself, on allowing herself to feel love for herself. And as soon as she was able to do that, she could feel the same love for herself as she felt for her kids and her mom. All of a sudden, the whole family's eating well. They're eating together. Everyone's making great food. They're cooking together. They're shopping together. It's a complete shift. But the disconnect was the mind, body, emotional disconnect. We have to have all three. And I think a lot of people know this stuff. But the fact is, unless you want to do it, unless you have that emotional connection to what you're trying to achieve, it's not going to work. And so well-being can't be the outcome. Well-being has to be the process, and the process through which you achieve whatever it is you care the most about in your life. If it's work, that's fantastic. If it's art on the weekends, that's great. If it's CrossFit, if it's spending time in the park with your kids, it doesn't matter, but we have to connect well-being to what we care about in our lives. And then it becomes very easy to fit in. And so that's the ultimate thing that people need to do. There's millions of tips that they need to do, but ultimately once you connect it to what you care about, it becomes so easy.
I think that's very well said. If we were to translate personal stories like that into the workplace, you could probably imagine, the work that we do in helping people change those behaviors and helping them become more aware of some of those emotional connections that you just discussed. You can also start to see how some of these success stories can build upon others and then influence other coworkers. And then we've got that peer-to-peer influence happening. And then you start to see a shift in culture and a shift in morale, because people are just happier to be at work. So, taking these wonderful health improvement tips and strategies and moving it to the workplace, that's really exciting, because then you're talking about population health movement. Mm-hmm. And then some of these changes. And then once you have those high performance athletes, i.e. business leaders, also involved, we're seeing some really great things in our Canadian workplaces. And I think now finally, after so many years, we're starting to understand the importance of the need for that presence and promotion in our workplaces. Greg, have you ever seen any, say, challenges with respect to needing to move that dial, or any challenges pertaining to promotion of healthy behaviors? Or does it come down to really what the individual really wants to do?
Yeah, there's some huge challenges. If it was easy, everybody would do it. Everyone, we would have gyms in our offices. Like, it would be simple. There's some huge challenges. The first challenge is environment. And so, is it easy to access healthy food? And one of the first things I do when I go into workplaces is do an audit of what's actually available in the workplace, what's available in the cafeteria, what's available in the snack rooms in each floor of the office, what is available on days when there's parties. And in order for us to eat well, we have to have healthy food available to us and unhealthy food not available to us, because we are going to make bad decisions when we're tired, stressed, frustrated, angry. And you don't want that to be around when that's going to happen. We need to make success inevitable. We need to make excellence inevitable. And the way to do that is to control your environment. Food needs to be the foundation for that. Second thing with regards to physical activity, it just has to be sprinkled into your day.
Mhm.
Little things like keeping a pair of running shoes at your office so that you can just throw them on, go for a quick walk, come back, switch back into dress shoes is a magic tip for something of that nature. I also love the idea of 20 minutes of stretching for every 20 minutes of sitting. So you can just simply stand up, stretch your arms, stretch your neck, stretch your legs, lower back, sit back down and go. If you're on a phone call like this one, it really helps to stand up. Stand up during phone calls, stand up during meetings. Don't feel like you have to sit down. Sitting down shuts down the brain. We know that our brain is more creative, it problem solves better when we're moving, not when we're sitting. Sitting shuts off all of the creative process centers of the brain, so we need to move. So there's lots of different ways of sprinkling it in, but really it also comes down to leadership. And if your leadership in the organization are invested and committed to health and well-being, and their own health and well-being, then it makes it easier for other people to participate as well. If your leader in your organization does not go to the gym, if the leader of the organization is there before you and leaves after you and works at eats at their desk all day long, guess what's going to happen to the people on that floor? They're going to do the exact same thing. And it's not to say that we shouldn't hustle, not to say that we shouldn't work hard, not to say that we shouldn't, really focus when there's a big project to get done. We have to do those sorts of things. But the fact of the matter is when leadership model these behaviors, it becomes very easy for the employees to do so. It's a very interesting study that showed that leaders who increase their sleep without informing anyone, like just increase the amount of sleep that they get, they don't tell anybody. When the leaders increase the amount of sleep that they get, the employees do as well. So they can detect fatigue, they can detect stress. And if they detect that their leader is less stressed, less fatigued, then they will take care of themselves better. So there's a very, very clear relationship there. And understand that anyone can lead without a title. You can lead at any level of the organization. There's always someone around you that you can influence. So by taking care of yourself, you can take better care of other people. And I encourage people to be self-full, not selfish. Just love that little micro word nuance, and take care of yourself and make it okay for everyone in and around your workplace to get better, to get healthier, to feel better. Imagine if we could create workplaces where people went and by doing so, you got healthier. Like we crafted workplaces that improved people's health. That would be it's not hard. Eat well, take rest breaks, do some meditation, get some exercise, and then sit down and crush your job and then repeat. So I think it's eminently possible. We just have to do things a little bit differently.
Awesome. And it's just as easy not to do it than it is to do it. So it's just comes down to making those decisions. Greg, thank you so much. Any final thoughts as we tie up our discussion today?
Yeah, one other thing I'd really encourage people to do is to leverage the fact that wearable technology is exploding and quantified self is exploding. Although these devices that we all have can certainly negatively affect our lives if we're compulsively checking social. I think there's some tremendous apps that you can use and technologies that you can use to learn more about yourself, track your improvement, and actually set some goals. So I turned off all the notifications on my watch. I get no notifications whatsoever, but I do track the number of steps that I take. And I've recently invested in getting a little ring that tracks my sleep so I can track my sleep and understand my sleep a little bit better. And so I would encourage people to use themselves as laboratories, take control of their health and well-being, and use some of these really cool new technologies to make that happen.
Awesome. I could talk to you all day. Thank you so much for your time today. Great. I learned so much, and it's great to share knowledge and to, again, continue this conversation of improving health and wellness of our workplaces in Canada. So thanks, Dr. Greg Wells. It's great.
Pleasure. Thanks very much.